Okay, so today we're going to talk about a very important topic, and I've been asked this question by a lot of clients over the years. What's the optimal down payment for buying a home? Is it 20% down? Is it 10% down? Is it 5% down? Is it 3% down? Is it no down payment? What's the best thing to do? And so let's talk about that here a little bit, give you more insight on what it means. Obviously, when it comes to purchasing a home, this is one of the biggest decisions you'll have to make. How much down? How much should I save? How do I prepare for this? But there's no one size fits all to this. Of course, there's not one answer that's going to blanket for everybody, but there are definitely some key factors that you need to keep in mind to make an informed decision on this front. So let's start by looking at the various down payment percentages, or at least the typical ones, and kind of what they mean to you, what the implication is on those. So traditionally, a 20% down payment's been considered kind of optimal for a number of reasons. It's kind of the standard, right? There are a lot of people out there that still think that you have to have 20% down in order to buy a house. Now, that's not true, not at all. There are a lot of different options that don't require that much, but it is optimal from the standpoint of a few things. First of all, it helps you avoid private mortgage insurance, or PMI, right? And that's an additional monthly cost that protects the lender. It insures the lender against you going to default and foreclosing, so to cover their costs essentially to foreclose on the home if they have to. So it's not an insurance policy you really want, right? But it's offered to allow people to get into a home for less than 20% down. I tell my clients that, if you're not planning to own your home for at least 5 years, if you can't see that far out, at least 5 years, and you really don't have the intention of staying there that long, then you really don't have enough time to make it through the ups and downs of the market, right? Real estate markets can move quickly. And unfortunately, when real estate is going the wrong direction, it makes it hard to sell your home at times. Or if you have to sell it, you have to sell it for a lot less than you expected. So with 20% down, though, you've got a buffer you built in, right? You built in a buffer in case you have to sell for a job relocation or a family emergency or something, and the market's in a down cycle. That way you're not going to be coming up with money at the closing table, having to write a check to get out of your house because the value of your house, the sales price, is lower than your mortgage amount. So that's one of the main benefits of 20% down, is just giving you that cushion. Now, obviously, in that scenario, you'd lose all or part of your 20% down, right, if the market was down. But you'd have the flexibility to get out if things are tighter and you just don't have the wherewithal to do that. So that's one of the main reasons for 20% down, in addition to avoiding mortgage insurance and getting a lower mortgage amount, of course, with a lower payment. Having said that, not everyone can afford a 20% down payment, especially with homes as expensive as they've become over the past few years. So because of that, buyers often opt for a lower down payment. So let's explore the pros and cons of different down payment percentages. So a lower down payment, such as 5% or 10% down, or even 3.5% down for FHA, for example, allows a buyer to enter the housing market sooner and start building equity. So this helps you really get in, especially if you're a first-time home buyer who might have limited savings and just haven't had the time to save up because you're young, right? So it really gives you that advantage. But there's a few drawbacks to putting down a small down payment or a smaller down payment. First, of course, the smaller down payment means you got a higher loan amount. You put less down, higher loan amount, which results in a larger monthly mortgage payment, which directly affects the price point at which you can qualify, or the price point you can afford. Now, the second thing to keep in mind is that a lower down payment might lead to a higher interest rate depending on what you're doing and what type of loan you're doing, like conventional loans, for example. If you have a really low down payment of 3% down, so less than 5% down, that actually really increases the mortgage insurance premium amount and increases the interest rate both. So it doesn't make much sense to do a straight conventional loan with less than 5% down. However, FHA, VA, rural development, those programs, the Govy loans is what they're called, those have 0 to 3.5% down payment options, and the interest rate is actually lower. So it just kind of depends on the program that we're talking about. But typically, lenders consider a higher loan to value ratio riskier, so they might have to change the interest rate or charge a higher interest rate to compensate for it. So this can add up to a significant amount over the life of your mortgage, especially, like I'm saying, on conventional mortgages. Now, the main thing to consider, though, is that a smaller down payment could leave you more exposed to market fluctuations, like I talked about before. So, if the housing market experiences a downturn, it might take you longer to have your property's value catch up with your mortgage balance. And so that can be risky if you have to sell during a downturn and you don't have as much down. Okay, so just food for thought. You got to think about the long-term ramifications, at least 5 years, right, of what you're trying to do here with your home. So now that we covered that, let's talk about a few things, how to determine the optimal down payment for your specific situation. So I say there's a few things to do here. First, assess your financial situation. Make sure you've got a budget, evaluate your income, your expenses, and your savings. Just determine how much you can comfortably allocate towards a down payment over time and save that up. Second, consider your future goals. Think about your long-term plans. Will you stay in the home for just a few years, or is this a long-term commitment, a long-term investment? And this obviously can also influence how much down payment you put down. The third thing, again, like we just talked about, is you've got to research the different loan programs. You've got to look into different loan programs with a trusted mortgage advisor that offers lower down payment options if you're interested in that. So, such as first-time homebuyer bond programs that most state agencies will offer, FHA loans or rural development, or VA loans if you qualify as a veteran. Those programs definitely can provide more flexibility than your standard 10 to 20% or more down payment. Then last, calculate the costs. Use online calculators, or many lenders like Summit have an app. Ours is called the Ascent app, where you can go in and you can calculate kind of how things sit with different down payment amounts as far as your payment and how that works with your budget, and also just understand how that affects your overall price point affordability. Hopefully that's helpful. I hope you found this video helpful and informative, but don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel for more mortgage tips and advice, and follow me on Instagram at bill.z.mortgage. I've got some pretty cool reels there with music. They're fun, so just watch those, and they'll give you more tips on different aspects of mortgage and money-related topics. As always, thanks for watching. Hope to see you on the next video.